Kal Kadosh, Erev Tov, Masechet Zevachim, Daf Yomi, Daf Lamed Amud Aleph 38:1. We are on the two dots. This is the second two dots where it says Tnan Hatam. Okay? Tnan Hatam, we learned over there in the Mishnah in Timurah. This is Kafei Amud Bet. Somebody that has two animals which were sanctified as a korban. One of them is an olah, one of them is a shlamim. Now he puts right, he puts them by Be'emah Shel Chulin, and he says, Hare Zot Tmurat Olah, Tmurat Shlamim. So says the Gemara, it's only a Tmurat Olah. Because we go after the first lashon, which was an olah. Meaning, since he said double, harez tmurat olah, tmurat shlamim. Which one is it? It's a substitute for an olah or a shlamim. So we go after the first one. The first one was an olah, substitute for an olah. Divrei Rabbi Meir. Amar Rabbi Yosef, says Rabbi Yosef, im lekach mitkaven tchila. If that was the kavanah at the beginning, hoil v'yevshal leotzi shte shemot ka'achat. But he can't say both at one shot. Meaning, he says this is a substitute for an olah and for a shlamim. But he can't say Olah and Shlamim. It's not Kadosh Baruch Hu, Zachor v'Shamor b'dibur echad that he says it in one shot. So what's going on? So therefore, he comes and he says, for sure he had to say one before the other. So therefore, Dvarav Kayamin, right, everything, half of it is an Olah and half of it is a Shlamim. Because you can't just say, whatever he said first. What did he said first? You have to say something first and something second. A human being cannot say Olah and Shlamim in 1 second, in one shot. So therefore, it's half an Olah and half a Shlamim. But if he comes and he says, right, at the beginning, he had the kavanah for nolah, and then afterwards he changed his mind and he says, shlamim, so then it's only going to be an olah bilvad. Why? Because a person cannot retract even tokeh de dibur. Meaning, this, if he had in mind both, so it's both, half. Why? We don't go after the first thing you said because you cannot say it in one shot. But if you had in mind the olah, and then you had in mind the shlamim, so even though within the 2-3 seconds, tokeh de dibur, you changed, it still doesn't matter. It's an olah. Why? Because to do with kodshim, the second that you made it chal on something, that's it, kaddish, sof pasuk. You can't come and start changing after. Don't change your mind afterwards. So we're going to ask the following question. Harezu tmurat olah u'shlamim. If this is going to be right now a tmurat olah and a shlamim, now here you didn't say harezu tmurat olah, harezu tmurat olah, harezu tmurat shlamim. You said harezu tmurat olah u'shlamim. You didn't divide it. You said this is a substitute, olah u'shlamim. So now what's halakha in such a case? So he comes and he says, what's halakha? So he says, right? So that's the first question. Okay? Now he comes and he says, do we say that again it's going to be the first one? Or do we say it's going to be half-half? Or does everybody agree? I don't know. Another doubt, lachatzot. What happens if he says that it's going to be half? Half tmurat olah or tmurat shlamim. What's the halacha? So Amar Abaye says, one second. In the second case, where he says lachatzot means it's going to be half. Vadai modeh Rabbi Meir, for sure Rabbi Meir is going to be modeh, that what? That it's going to be chal on both. Why? Because he said chetzi, lachtzot. Lachtzot means half. So half means half on the olah and half on the shlamim. Rava comes and he said, no, adani machloket. It's still going to be a machloket between. So now he comes and he says like this. Amar Rava le'Abaye, says Rava to Abaye, ledidachta amarta, according to you, that you just said beha. In this case, vadai modeh Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir is going to be modeh. Haresh shchita. What about shchitat kodshim? That machshava is going to be poselet, right, in the Mishnah. Delechi lechatzot dami. That there it's like lachtzot. Lachtzot means that it's like you're going to divide between one another. Remember, lachtzot means chetzi. It's like half. Upligin, it's a machloket. So Elmaleh comes by and he answers to Rava, mi savrat ena l'shchita l'vasof. Are you going to tell me now that the avodat shchita is only when you finish it? When you finish to cutting both of the simanim? So he says, Yeshna l'shchita mitchila v'atzof. The maaseh of shchita starts from the beginning until the end. It's all shchita. And therefore, just like the machshava helps at the end of the shchita to be posel the korban, so too at the beginning. Mishnatenu de'amar, and our Mishnah is talking about where he only did the slaughtering of siman rishon, chutz zmano, v'siman sheni, chutz imkomo. Meaning this. Remember that in the neck of the animal, you have the esophagus and the trachea, the kaneva veshet. You have to cut the majority of both. What happened was he cut one and he cut another one. On the first one, when he cut, he was thinking chutz zmano outside of the proper time. And when he cut the second one, he was thinking outside of the proper place. So therefore, in such a case, right? It was going to be posel the korban. So both machshavot, right, were different, meaning each one was different, and therefore that's what he's trying to say about lachtzot. It's like two different things. So says the Gemara, what about kmitza? Telechi lachtzot dami. It's like lachtzot upligin. They argue. So he says also hatanami. There also iktir chometz mincha chutz mino chometz levona chutz imkomo. That also that he did iktir chometz mincha outside of his mano and chometz levona outside of imkomo. Hare chometz minchat chote. What about chometz minchat chote? Teleka levona bade. You don't have levona. You don't have the frankincense, right? Because remember the minchat chote, right? If it doesn't have the frankincense, it's not going to be kosher. So he comes and he says, upligi, and there's also going to be a machloket. So he says, lo pligi, there's no machloket really, bemet. In such a case, so the end of the Mishnah Menachot is talking about somebody that taught two machshavot in the same avodah is only mincha chotet. It's like a mincha regila that's mentioned, not a mincha chotet. So Ravashi says, if you're going to tell me that they actually argue, pligi b'psiot. The machloket is where they thought of the walkings. Remember the psiot, you have to walk, right, to take it to sprinkle it. So again, you have a machloket. How do you learn it? You learn like Abaye or Rava. Two different rabbis. One learned it like Abaye, one learned it like Rava. So Kiata Rav Dimi Amar, when he went to Rav Dimi, he said, Rabbi Meir, Beshitat Rav Yudah Amara. He was talking about the Shitat Rav Yudah. You always grab the first language, whatever you said first. The Tanamas we learned in the Mishnah, Rav Yudah says Rav Yudah. There's a general rule. If the Zman came before the Makom, meaning the problem of the proper time before the problem of the place, so it's pigul, because again, the Zman came first. And it's going to be karet. Lamed Amubet, 30b. So Elmaleh Abaye says Abaye, right? If you're going to come and bring Rabbi Meir to Rabbi Yosef together, they're not arguing. So says the Gemara, what are you talking about? For sure they argue. For sure they argue. So he said, no. Elmaleh says, they're arguing in that which they're arguing. They're not arguing in something which they're not arguing. Meaning, they're only arguing in something which is mefurash in the Mishnah. They're arguing. But anything which is not, they're not arguing. Yosef says Yosef, the name of Yochanan. Everyone agrees that if he says tachul zo, that this be'ema should be a tmurat olah, and afterwards it should be right tmurat shlamim. According to everybody, it doesn't exist. Because once you said it's going to be chal on this animal, the olah, it cannot be a shlamim. If you're going to say it's not going to chal this one, the olah, unless it's the shlamim, for sure everyone, it's going to be half-half. Because it's going to be chetzi, half-half. So when is the machloket then? Ki plige, the amar tmunat olah, tmunat shlamim. When he said tmunat olah, tmunat shlamim, it means savar, remember, since he should have said tmunat olah, shlamim, and he said tmurat olah, tmunat shlamim, shmamina, he retracted. Meaning, if he said tmurat olah ushlamim, it's half-half. If he said tmurat olah, tmurat shlamim, he retracted. And therefore, that's why he said it becomes tmurat olah, because you cannot retract. Once you said it, you said it. Rabbi Yosef, and according to Rabbi Yosef, if you said tmurat olah ushlamim, I would have thought to say it's half olah and half shlamim. And therefore, he says tmurat olah, tmurat shlamim, to say that the entire thing is an olah, and the entire thing is going to be a shlamim. That's what the shitat Rabbi Yosef. Elmaleh, so he comes and he says, who amar lo plige? He said that he didn't argue. V'ana mina plige, and I'm going to say that they do argue. So amar ula v'itema Rav Oshaya. Says ula and Tzivu says Rav Oshaya. If shayadin chavdim b'valai, maybe our friends, the Amoraim in Bavel, they know kezait ukzait tzanan. That whenever a person wanted to eat a kezait for tomorrow, and a kezait outside, is it kezait or kezait ukezait? Meaning, do you add the letter vav or not? Meaning, the first one was kezait. So you wanted to eat a kezait tomorrow and kezait outside, and it's going to be pasul v'embo karet, or a kezait ukezait. Kezait tzran aval kezait ukezait, according to everybody, ru machshavot have. Or Dilmar, maybe we're going to say kezait ukezait tzanan. And according to Rabbi Yehuda, it's a prat. The koshek kezait. And all the more so, it's going to be a kezait and a kezait. So Tashma, we're going to try to bring a proof to Bamine Levi Merebi. Levi comes and he asks from Levi, Chishev lechol kezait lebachar b'chutz. What's the halacha? So Elmaleh comes and he says, Zo she'ela, eruv machshavot ayu. This is eruv machshavot. So Elmaleh from Rabbi Shimon Berebi, he says, Rabbi Shimon Berebi, lo mishnatenu. This is not the Mishnah. Lechol kezait b'chutz, kezait lemachar, kezait b'chutz. Or kezait kechetzi zait b'chutz, chetzi zait lemachar, chetzi zait b'chutz, pasul v'mo karet. Ha'idach, but in any other way, it's going to be considered what? It's going to be considered eruv machshavot. So Elmaleh, he says, Hu sha'al bi divrei chokhmah. He's asking me chokhmah. V'atamar mishnatenu, and you're going to tell me the Mishnah? So says the Gemara, Ledidachtat nitach tarte, for you that you're teaching both of them, lo kashad, it's not a question. Ledidei, but for him, that he's only learning one of them, which is kazai, without the vav chibur. The shamina l'rabbanan, and we're learning according to the rabbis, the kagar se tarte, that you have the girsav, both of them. The savar, and he holds, didi davka v'didu, mine is davka. V'didu, and theirs is eruvei machshavot ave, or deilma, or maybe didu davka, or didi shiru sherle. Shale ledidi ha, shale didu nami behach. V'hayatni al ilmale ilay. If you're going to tell me now kazaitu kazayatni, haylav shiyudahu. Ela kazaitu kazayatni. So he says v'tibayle. So we ask the question kazaitu kazait. So savar ibay min echada deshavan tarte. So it comes out that I'm going to ask him one question, which is really in two different ways. If you say kazaitu kazait, hanicha yamal liklala, then it makes sense to make the general rule. So kol sheken kazay lemachal b'chutz. But if you're going to tell me prata that it's a specifics, so akati kazay lemachal b'chutz kambale, so you still have the question then. So yachi, if so, hashtanami, so to hear hetenachi yamale, it's good if he said kazay lemachal b'chutz prata, kol sheken kazay to kazayit, ele yamale klala, but if he said the general rule, akati kazay to kazay mbale. So imken, if so, mirtach ratach. So he says, so why is he getting all upset then? He came, he answered him like, bekas, yeah. So therefore, he's going to come and he's going to be all upset. Hashta kazaitu kazai klala kazai lemachal v'chutz m'baile. So why do you need it? So therefore, this is where we're going to stop right here.